So,
Hey everyone, this is way different than you've heard before. What the fuck is the name of the podcast, bro?
It's
SimDem today.
yeah, SimDem today.
Well, welcome back to SimDem today. This is my pen, and instead of Tripod interviewing people, it's going to be my pen interviewing Tripod with my co-host Lyoko.
Hi.
Now, Tripod, you have a bit of history here on SimDem, right? Could you introduce yourself for us?
Bit of history is a huge understatement. Hi, I'm TripodPlayz on everywhere you can find me, Twitch, YouTube, all that kind of good stuff. I've been part of the SimDemocracy server since January 2nd of this year, and boy, has it been a trip. I have been vice president for 2 consecutive terms. That's a whole month. Uh, I've been director of the SDBI for that long. In addition, I've done a number of small roles. I was deputy archivist. I was an ambassador to the State of Democracy Discord server. And most recently, I've been confirmed as the Secretary of Defense. On top of all that, I've been in many political parties. People would call me a party hopper. I've founded a few parties as well. Right now, I'm currently at home in the United Socialist League.
Well, good stuff. I don't know why party hopping is such a bad thing. I just call it having a good time. Like, I
Yeah, definitely.
so
Like, I've been trying to find a party that just fits me, and I guess the USL does because I've been in there twice.
well, there you go. Well, let's start with the USL. So you correct me if I'm wrong, you were involved in leadership in some way in the USL before
Uh,
you became leadership in SDBB?
uh, yes. So how I joined the Progressive Bloc, I was the leader of the Citizens Progress Party. The original owner, Lady Muffley, she had some personal issues that really prevented her from getting a foothold in SimDem, so she left. Party leadership had a little election. It was me, another person in creative, and we just picked me. So I was in talk. I was trying. Funny story. We were talking about presidential nominations. We was talking about who should be president. The USL came up with I made, and of course the CPP picked me. Uh, Halfway through the primaries, Lucas came to me and he's like, "Hey, you should join the USL and merge your party and stuff." I'm like, "Sure, why not? We're not doing anything." So, yeah, I CPP merged with the USL and I became the head of legal affairs.
Well, good stuff. Well, you've certainly had your time around parties, but let's not focus on that because I mean, to be honest, everyone has. Let's focus on your time in government. First off, your terms as vice president. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How that experience was?
Well, being the second highest person on a server list of 1,000 people was definitely humbling, for sure. I remember President I made asking me that question. I was like, "Holy shit, this is crazy."
At what point did you realize, well, dang, I'm about to be the second highest officer in the executive for a nation or a Discord server of 1,200 people. When did that really sink in for you?
About about a day after I was elected, I made asked me that question for real. Like, like it just hit me, and I got like really bad imposter syndrome for that too. I'm like, they couldn't have voted for me, right? Like, this is
Yeah,
crazy.
I certainly feel that. I've
Uh,
felt that before.
hello. To what I'm intruding on.
Podcast episode, buddy.
Okay, podcast episode. Should I mute myself
Yes,
Yeah,
or?
if you,
please.
yeah, you can listen, but just keep your mic muted if you could.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Oop.
So, kind of hopping back onto the vice president train. So, you spent a whole month as vice president, right? And you were speaker of the Senate, kind of pro tempore sometimes between Senate terms. Um, what's kind of the craziest experience you've had or you had while being the vice president?
Oh my God, my pen. Let me tell you, there were multiple crazy moments. Like I think iMade's administration was the most eventful in SimDem since I guess the Jackie crisis. Like right off the bat, the former influential members of the Civil Liberties Party were on trial, and the administration was pretty much run by a bunch of people who thought the charges were bullshit. So me and iMade were like, hey, AG, can you drop these charges, right? Uh, and that caused a whole lot of controversy. Then we had the whole PUP attempted raid, and and when we got the counterterrorism ban going, the whole public was like, "Hey, yo, what you doing? Show us some evidence." And I always had to be like, "No, it's classified." And then when we started letting people in, looking at the evidence, like the ombudsman, MB8, and then the Senate got a hold of it, I believe. People people were seeing it as justified, but still the whole thing was crazy and not revealing not revealing privileged information, but if you had a chance to go and look at the whole evidence document, that shit was traumatizing. Like
Yeah,
I had a whole panic attack reading it.
yeah. Even in the declassified information, it was just not fun. Um, but regarding the whole Civil Liberties Party case, what was your personal opinion about all the whole charges things being dropped? What what was your take on I made and you asking Prometheus, the AG at the time, to drop these charges?
Well, asking the AG to drop these charges, in hindsight, probably something I shouldn't have done. But at the time, I was thinking, these people, sure, they plotted a bunch of stuff, but this was over a year ago and they haven't tried anything, you know? And I've met Kelvin. He's a really nice guy. I just, at the time, I didn't think they'd actually go through with it. And I was right, they didn't.
All right, fair enough.
Well,
Well,
I do have a quick comment on that because Prometheus, the age, because I mean, I'll be full disclosure here. I worked for the DOJ through that case. I saw it from its inception to its eventual dismissal. And Prometheus, as was shown in the Law and Order paper, was adamant that either you or Ahmed had actually ordered the dismissal.
Um, so I I just asked them at, at the point I it might have been in order. Uh, actually, I was like, "Hey, could you drop these charges? I think they're bullshit." And Prometheus said they wouldn't do anything without iMade's blessing, right? So I pinged iMade, told them to get in here, and iMade basically ordered them.
Right. I mean, but I mean, it's just from like even just an optics point of view, because a lot of these people were part of the NPP who were also in the SDPB coalition that got you guys elected. I mean, just facially, and I know you said it before, but facially, I think in retrospect, maybe was there a different way, they could have been approached.
Well, at the time, and I still think today, the only two options were either get the charges dropped or have them found guilty in court, which was actually funny. Criminal code states that SimDem only has jurisdiction in SimDem, in DMs, or in SimDem affiliated servers. The server where they essentially planned all this stuff out was unaffiliated with SimDem, so if they were to go through in court, they wouldn't have jurisdiction.
you mentioned the only options were to either kind of get it ordered down or to have them found guilty in court. Do you think that Kelvin or any of the other former CLP members would have been found innocent given the jurisdictional issue that you just mentioned?
Uh, given all the bias towards the CLP gang at the time, I think they might have been found guilty. But given how long it takes for court cases to be processed, the pre-trial, the trial, uh, especially due to the lack of judges and state attorneys, I think all of that bias would have worn down, and and the case would have been approached in a fair and impartial manner. I honestly have no idea how the case would have turned out.
Fair enough. Well, let's kind of move on here regarding the CLP allegations, but not about the trial itself. You were a member of the MPP at one time, right? And I believe this was either right after, during, or kind of near the Half Cat allegations. Do you remember what Half Cat said in his resignation letter?
Uh, yes, I do remember. He was base uh, not to sound like a broken record, but he was basically saying, "Fuck this shit, I'm out." He was just pretty much pissed at me and I made for getting the CLP charges dropped, and then calling the NPP the CLP deep state, basically. Just bashing the NPP as just an outlet for the CLP to take over SimDem, which I
Now,
don't.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, well, I'm a bit biased, but what did you think of all that?
Oh, I thought you was. I heard the first syllable and I thought you was gonna just tell me I was wrong. uh, I None of the founders of the MPP were affiliated with the CLP in any way, and the only connection I'll have, Kelvin, you have basically kicked him out. I don't think the MPP was involved in any of the activities or the plans the CLP wanted. And one of the alleged conspirators, Flores, is an alt of Mook, and I don't think anybody would want to fucking associate with Mooklin.
Yeah, but like
Oh,
so with I mean half cats. I mean that statement I think alone was enough to stir up some things in SimDem, right? I mean especially when it came to your administration. Eventually, I think right after Prometheus resigned, Creative, who I believe was tangentially related to the CLP allegations, was appointed Attorney General, and I know there was a lot of talk internally in the legal community about concerns with that. Obviously, the concerns were unfounded. We could say that in retrospect, but at the time, it was, facially, it looked really suspicious.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, if we're gonna be honest, I would advise I made to appoint him chief of staff, which if, which did happen before got appointed attorney general. I'll give them that. Uh, but yeah, oof, that does sound pretty sus. Well, then he won the presidency, so if you want to say the CLP took over SimDem, there you go.
well, fair enough. Well, considering your time after being vice president, how would you rate your current just kind of position as Secretary of Defense? What are your thoughts on what you want to change, what you want to do with it? What are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to the job itself. Hopefully I'll get paid this time. I'm kidding. I did get paid as VP, just it was really late, you know? IMAID had a lot of time finding the government funding, and cabinet confirmations during her term were really delayed, honestly, because we named the cabinet nominees, right? And then the Senate elections happened. And then the Senate got
Right.
a and right after that, it took him a hot minute to confirm all the cabinet nominees because we essentially cleaned house, right? And they had to do hearings and a vote for each one of these new nominees.
I I do remember that. Yep. Back when I was freshman senator, I believe. But I
Back
mean,
to Secretary
kind
of
of,
Defense.
yeah, go for it.
Sorry. Uh, so I'm just looking forward to overseeing the military. I know people have a pretty negative view of the military, even after all the good work they've done. especially with the Jackie crisis and with Operation False Guillotine. I know most of the citizens of SimDem weren't there for that. I wasn't there for that, but I'm a big history nerd. I did a lot of research on SimDem's history. Uh, People are talking about defunding the military. I think that the military should be put on reserve without honestly without pay because honestly they're not doing much. And I really don't like dead weight in an administration, right?
Well, good stuff. It sounds like you've got some solid concrete plans for Secretary of Defense. Let me think real quick. Lyoko, do you have a question?
Yeah. Um, so and I think maybe a clarification for a lot of the listeners and people just new to SimDem, and myself included. Um, Given that a lot of our activities, and I mentioned before, the DOJ is a very busy department because we do a lot of internal enforcement.
Y'all
Um,
got like three attorneys.
right. So what is actually the principal mission of the Department of Defense? Like what actions do you guys actually do when you have things to do?
So the of Defense's job is to protect the borders of SimDemocracy, right? We oversee operations of the military and of Homeland Security, I believe. That might be the
Well,
Attorney General's office. I don't know.
yeah, Homeland Security is part of the Department of Justice, but
I was close enough. Okay. I, re- I said I read into history. I didn't read into the Constitution.
that's fair. Well, I'm just wondering because I mean part of my understanding was that you guys are kind of like, I don't want to say raiders because you guys aren't like raiding or brigading a server for the sake of raiding and brigading, but more of like a meme army, right?
Yeah, a meme army. During Operation False Guillotine, when they worked to depose the monarch of Voices of Democracy, we just had a team sending memes constantly until they gave up. And that's pretty much our war strategy from here on out.
It's an interesting way of putting it. I mean, I'm in agreement with your plan. I think, if the military isn't actively mobilized, collecting a paycheck um, seems a bit wasteful. I guess to put it lightly. Especially when there's other functions of the government that are still going on, and facially people are kind of getting paid the same, right? People, if I have a pay grade 3 in the military and a pay grade 3 in the Department of the Treasury, they're probably both getting paid the same, but for vastly different work, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I definitely agree with the fiscal responsibility of keeping them in reserve and paying them if they're actually called up. Um, though an interesting take from a former member of the Socialist Party, or United Socialist League, rather, not the Socialist Party.
Well, yeah, yes, of course I am a socialist. But I believe that um, I am a socialist, but I believe that if you're not doing a job, you shouldn't get paid. Like
No, no,
if
no, you're fine. I wasn't trying to get you in a gotcha moment.
yeah, no, of course. Uh, Again, I believe in inequality. I believe that the government should be doing more to make sure its citizens are paid, have a livable wage, which isn't much considering this is a Discord server and not an actual country.
So what would be maybe your take on Tao and the economy? I know you've heard probably my take on it and a little bit of my pens, but I mean, like to you, what does a functioning SimDem economy look like? Like, what's the point of
Uh,
being paid?
I
Well,
would like to also have 2 cents in that, but later on. So
of
Let me put
course,
it in the chat.
yeah, put it in the chat. They'll ask me. Uh, so the economy is a long-standing tradition, and I don't seek to get rid of SimDem traditions, right? Unless they're actively negatively affecting the function of the democratic government we elected, right? Uh, I know the main goal of communism is to abolish money, abolish government, but I feel like Tao should stick around, and the concept, my ideal concept of a functioning government is that the government makes as much money as it puts into it. So, which is why I am trying to help write a tax bill that hopefully generate the government some revenue so they can keep supporting these socialist programs. such as the citizenship stipend, the business grants, all that good stuff.
Okay,
So is it
can I
so
can I
so is,
can I intrude for a moment, or that's not the right time?
if you
Uh,
want to put it in the chat, we can get to it
uh,
in
okay,
the
so what
in the
do I have to put
in the
the chat?
in the VC text chat where everybody else is talking.
Yeah, voice chat.
Oh, the text chat.
Uh, yeah, yeah.
I think Gato just pinged you. Um,
Okay. So, thank you.
so to kind of touch on the taxes thing, right? Is the taxes thing, because to me it would serve only one of two purposes, right? Either one, the taxes fund the government programs, but to me that seems a bit like a weird cycle because most of the government or most of the money that gets injected into the economy is from the government, which would just be a cycle of taxation, just paying the same people that you're taxing right back. Or is it more of a way to combat inflation and to take money out of circulation because there's a lot of just stagnant money just sitting around. People are getting paid, but there's nothing to spend it on.
Of course, I'd like to say it's a little bit of both. My end goal, uh, personally, I don't want to see any more Tau get printed, but of course, right now it's impossible. The government needs to sign some paychecks. But I feel like if we tax the people of SimDem, we will rely less on the printing of money and more on generating revenue through other sources, such as, taxing people.
Right. Have you talked with anybody in the Treasury or the former Economy Department about kind of their thoughts about it?
I haven't gotten the chance to yet, but I have talked to a few senators about their thoughts. Because ultimately, it's up to the Senate, right? They're the one who writes the law and passes it.
Right. Mm, and what about because this was kind of a thing that we were talking about integration into the Minecraft server. Do you have any thoughts about maybe how we can implement Tau into the Minecraft server or vice versa?
Well, I think implementing Tau as a currency in the Minecraft server would be a great idea. Uh, it gives the people of SimDem a chance to spend their hard-earned Tau. Because in a Discord server, there's not a lot of ways ge- to uh to sell stuff. Um,
Right.
like sure, there's legal firms, and I do sell ad space on my podcasts, but that's pretty much about it. So I'm
So
hoping
and just
that integrating talent to the Minecraft server is just would be great for the government getting the money it invests into the people.
And just to kind of interject here, um, so you've kind of delineated between two different economies. One where people spend their Tau on goods, and one where people spend their Tau on services or like ad space or stuff like that. Would How would you go about in a perfect world where you could do what you wanted? What would your perfect world look like on how we could implement Tau into the Minecraft server? How would we do it?
Through a Minecraft plugin, honestly. Uh, I'm pretty sure that's not the answer you were expecting, so I'll elaborate. Uh, in Minecraft, in the game of Minecraft, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to interrupt y'all. What Tommy just said in the VC chat, I blew my entire stipend on lottery tickets in one. That's crazy.
what a legend.
Worth it.
I wish I could have blown my entire stipend on lottery tickets, but apparently the VP can't be part of the lottery.
Yeah, I could see that.
You won twice. That is crazy. Anyways, back to Minecraft. In Minecraft survival mode, there's stuff you need to survive, right? Food, armor, weapons, tools. Uh, I was I think that there could be shops made to sell those stuff, so you don't have to grind for it, along with decorative blocks and all that good stuff. And you'd charge Tau for it.
So my question, would you allow for Tau reverse integration, so to change the Minecraft Tau into SimDem Tau, like server Tau?
Yeah, of
Because I
course.
Well, here, or sorry, and kind of here's my point on that. So Microsoft, or not Microsoft, Minecraft, obviously is a game, and what do we like to do with games? We like to min-max, right? I
Mhm.
think there was a reason why the admin store initially got shut down in Minecraft because people were making iron farms to where they were just making infinite money, and I think with that there might be concerns of inflation.
Of course, uh, I don't know what currency bot y'all use in Minecraft. Most likely universal currency. I don't think we would do something like that in SimDem, possibly. And I know what I want to say, just don't know how to say it. Uh, like I said, there wouldn't be inflation the way the Talbot will work in Minecraft. You know what? I guess we would.
I think, I
Like it,
mean, we had about 5 more minutes left.
and that's fine. We can go longer if we want. I do have a long political career.
Indeed. Well, I think my final question, honestly, is what are you excited for even after Department of Defense? What's the biggest goal that you're working towards?
Tripod 2025, let's go.
You want to be president?
Hell yeah.
How would you do it? What's your little campaign pitch for everyone who's listening?
Uh, so once Muggy decides she's tired of being president, of course, I want to run on a platform similar to hers, finally revitalizing the economy. Of course, I want to add some border security because what the PUP did was not okay. In summarize, they basically invited a bunch of their alts to try to rig the elections in their favor, and they almost got away with it too. I want to add a border security similar to the one they implement in VOD, where you just chill in a border security area until someone lets you in. Also, the I'm big on education. I want people to be informed about SimDem politics, a bunch of other stuff too. I know someone's got a Python coding class right now, and I have a intro to law class, not on the roster yet, but it just got approved a few weeks ago. I'll be on next semester. Uh, I just really want to make SimDem a better place for everybody.
Well, good
And are you
stuff.
and are you willing to say who you'd pick for your vice president if you did run, in whatever election Muggy decides that she doesn't want to be reelected?
Yoko, are you trying to make me give you a shout out in the middle of a podcast?
Absolutely not. I didn't even want you to make me VP selection last time.
No, honestly, I have no idea. Also, another big goal I really want is to be have the chance to interview Daniel himself on one of these podcast episodes.
That's a
Good
big
one.
one right there.
Yeah, that's a good
Mm,
one.
mm-hmm. Okay, I do believe we told the chat they could ask questions as well. So if y'all don't mind, I'm gonna read a few of these.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Uh, Tripod, if a huge wave of members comes again, like if Daniel makes another SimDem video, do you think the border would handle it better than those people flooding general? Uh, during times like that, when the president would exercise the state of caution, which is what I believe 787 Enjoyer did during the first Daniel video, I think we'd have more moderators, STBI, more competent authorities as defined by the Counterterrorism Act. We'd have more of them in the border security chat, just vibing with them and letting them in. Uh, Tripod, do you think voters are starting to experience perennial campaign fatigue with Tripod running for president every term despite constantly losing? I don't think so, because I get what you mean. Like, I, I get what you mean. I kind of have the Jill Stein effect. Uh, I believe the reason I haven't won yet is because although I've been in there, people honestly don't know what I stand for. But I've been working on my campaigns, working on my policies, getting more acquainted with what SimDem's really about. And I hope that next time I run, it'll be a more serious campaign hope my policies resonate with the public, and hopefully that W. Are there any other
Okay,
questions the chat want to give up to me?
not from the chat, but from me, if I may intrude, of course.
Yeah, of course. Go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so I've been cooking up a extension to economy in SimDemocracy, which is head introduction of headology industries made by me. And what this economy will brought to the table is will be using a chess.com scoring points to give the employers employed people in the heterology industries a sum of money. So it will be like normal bureaucratic work, but if you want to have earn anything, you need to at least play 5 times like in a month in chess.com, and after this period the sum of money will be donated to you. So what is your outlook on that idea, on my idea? Is this like, doable?
I'm gonna start that off with that is not a question for me. That is probably a question for Muggy and Muggy herself and the Treasury Department.
Hmm.
I don't. You said a small sum of money would be donated. I don't know. The problem with the economy isn't that people aren't getting enough money. People are giving money nowadays. The problem is that they're not spending it, right?
Yes, yes, and well, I'm not really expanded on my idea, but my idea is on the link somewhere in idea stuff on this Discord. Everyone can look at it, and my goal is also to for headology industries to produce goods, fictional goods, which can be purchased or by normal people, and so on and so forth. But that stuff is like in the future, not yet realized.
Of course, of course. Well, thank you for that question. Uh,
Any other
Lyoko,
questions from the chat? Yes, sir.
Lyoko, my pen. Y'all got any questions for me, particularly about recent events? Because I want to get my 2 cents about it.
Sure. Let me ask you a question, buddy. What are your thoughts about this so-called traditionalist insurgency or whatever the hell they're calling themselves,
Oh
Tide?
God, don't get me started on Tide. They are homophobic as fuck. Somebody read my nickname in the server.
My pen? I'll leave that to you, buddy.
Well, I have the
Tide
distinct honor
is
of introducing.
homophobic.
Yep, Tide is homophobic. That's what Tripod's name is.
Yep. Uh, they dropped their project 2025, and it's literally mark LGBTQ persons as persons of interest, and then obliterate them from the server. So fuck them, right? Also, they are campaigning to create a one party police state, uh, which is very undemocratic. Tripod, I'm not filled in on what these recent Tide events. Does it involve TY? What's TY?
I think
Sure.
Tommy means Tide.
Does
Oh
it
yeah,
involve
maybe.
Ty? It does not involve Ty.
Yeah, it's Tide. It's TIDE is the organization name.
Tide, as in Tide Pod. Not to be
Yeah,
confused with the most base member of SimDem, Tripod.
I didn't even think about that. It's pretty funny.
Like
So,
thinking Tide did a 180, that's crazy.
so obviously we've talked about the Tide, right? And we talked about the PUP, and you mentioned on border security and border control. I mean, like, realistically, what would be the best way, at least in your thought process, to moderate the border control to kind of prevent maybe groups like this from getting in, or even worse, people like the PUP, as my pen said, this is basically like our 9/11.
Of course, of course. Again, we would have competent authorities monitoring the border security chat. We'd also try to ask some questions, get to probe their minds a little. If they're smart, if they're smart enough, then they'll slip by, of course. But if they're like tied and are really open about that, those are some people we should not be letting into SimDem, and we could easily get counterterrorism orders on them without letting them in and assimilating with the general public. Know what I'm saying?
So with that, I think might come some concerns that, at least just off the rip from my kind of point of view, red teaming it, is it possible that that could maybe um, filter out, unexpectedly filter out maybe opinions that the border control officer or officers maybe don't agree with, and almost create like this echo chamber in the discourse of sim democracy?
Of course, there's always the fear that the border security will try to silence potential political dissidents by kicking them out of the server before they even have the chance to show themselves. Uh, I do say we have plenty of oversight throughout the SimDem government, and I hope that oversight will extend to border security as they try to do their jobs. And you didn't bring this up, but this could also apply to fuck, I done forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah.
So anyway, this has been Tripod with us in SimDem today, with Lyoko and MyPat being press ganged into hosting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has been a pleasure hosting you, Tripod. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, even though it's my fucking podcast.
Well, we are MyPen and Lyoko, and we have had the distinct pleasure of filling in for Tripod. This is SimDem today. Hope you like it. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.
Bye bye.